everyone, it's Kelly Donahue-Piro here with another set of 3-minute videos. And in this set of 3-minute videos, one of the things that we're focused on is really stopping and saying, how do we blend these two different generations? In so many agencies, we have 3 generations, which I call them the OGs, the original gangsters. These are your vintage employees. They've been in insurance for 30 years, potentially even with your agency for 30 plus years. They have a wealth of knowledge of, the history of the agency, the companies, the carriers, the clients, just insurance in general. And they have their own set of values and beliefs. Then I have what we call the tweens. These are people who've been in insurance somewhere around like 8 to 15 years. And these people have, a good breadth of insurance, a good blend of kind of the modern skill set sometimes, have different clients, are, a lot of times balancing family and work. And then we have kind of the newbies, which is brand new to insurance, learning. I call it learning a whole new language, immersing themselves in a whole new culture. And sometimes these are a little bit of the younger generation. Again, that can be a vast generalization, but they are green and there's a lot to learn. And in this video series, we're going to talk a little bit about how do we blend those generations and maximize where everybody is in their insurance life cycle. So today we're going to talk about the need for ownership to take a stance. And so what I mean by this, and I'm just going to use an example, is you may have a scenario where as an agency, maybe you're working a blended schedule of remote, in person, working from home. And I'm going to tell you that OG population, they are going to come into that office no matter what, like a snowstorm, whatever, you come into the office and that is it. And when they leave, they leave. Like there is no checking their email. There is no logging in later on. It's the idea from working from home is just not for them. Again, nothing wrong with that. It's a value set. Personally, I'm not a huge work from home person. I get too distracted by my dog and laundry that needs to get folded. So I actually appreciate coming into the workplace. Then you have when people are, maybe remote working from home or taking care of a sick kid and all the things that kind of come around with it. The perception is we're doing all the work and they're not. I can't find them. There's a huge work from home kind of mentality that can get offset. And I will say this, a few bad apples can ruin the pot, right? So everybody handles it a bit differently. This is where you, as leadership, need to take a clear stance. And so by doing that, you have to either say we fully support work from home and we fully support working parents, or we fully support the idea and here's how the protocols go for working from home. And you can even put in there working from home as a privilege, and if it's not adhered to, it can be taken away. You really want to focus on, as much as humanly possible, just having fair rules of engagement. And by the way, just because someone's working from home, sometimes they can't get people at the office. There are an offset of duties that can only sometimes be done in office, maybe mailing, printing, scanning, some of those things. And so we really need to say, hey, you know what, if you're working from home, you're first time picking up the phones. If you're in the office, you're going to take on these duties. But ultimately, what comes into play is that ownership has not taken a clear stance on a policy of work from home, which is important, and how we run that. Now, this is just one example of taking a stance between different generations. There's a plethora. I can think of maybe sometimes the younger generations end up coming in a couple minutes late from work. Again, could be kid-related issues, could just be that they stopped for coffee and that was it. As an ownership team, you have to determine, is that acceptable? Some agencies, it's not. You start the day at 8 o'clock, you were in your desk ready to rock and roll. Some agencies have a little bit more flexibility because people stay late. I can't decide that for you. You need to make those decisions. But the bottom line is ownership needs to take a clear stance. So it's clear if one party is frustrated by it, they have to participate and say, it's okay with me. I don't need you to worry about it. Similarly, on the reverse side is, sometimes the younger generation handles technology and does things a little bit more efficiency. You have to clearly display that to people who aren't as tech savvy. So it's back and forth, but what ends up happening unaddressed is that these items fester and it becomes, they're working from home, they're not working as hard. This perception takes over and people's perception is their version of reality. So when those things start coming up, it degrades your culture, it leads to burnout, and ultimately the whole team is looking for you to weigh in and say what's right and what's wrong. So put on your Judge Judy hat and weigh in, be super clear, and then hold people accountable to it. And that's the only way that some of these generations are going to get along. And I don't mean that they don't get along in general, but there's these little rifts that come up and untended to, they will lead to some downgrading in your agency. So hopefully that this helps you. We'll be back tomorrow with another 3-minute video.
Hey, everybody. So want to just let you know, we have our Ridiculously Amazing Insurance Agent podcast. And if you have not already gone and subscribed to it, you're missing out, because it's one of the only insurance podcasts out there that has no sponsors, 0 sponsors. And the reason that we do that is we believe that we want to be the podcast for agencies with the people problems, the growing agencies. If you've got 10 people out there, you know what I'm talking about. It gets harder with different personalities. And so we want to bring to you the best vendors. We want to bring to you also the best agency stories out there of facing and doing the hard things for the agencies that are growing. And so if you're interested in a new insurance podcast that isn't too crazy, let us know. We actually do these 3-minute videos as podcasts. You might be listening to it right now. So go ahead, subscribe to the Ridiculously Amazing Insurance Agent podcast. You can go to our website under the podcast section. It's on the top left-hand corner. There's a drop down, click podcast and subscribe. Go to Apple or iTunes and you can also subscribe there. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much.